Hey everyone and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into the absolutely incredible story of South Carolina's economy. Seriously, we're going to explore how a state once known mostly for farming and old-school factories completely remade itself into a powerhouse, building some of the most advanced machines on the planet. Okay, let's jump right in. So, this is the big question, right? How in the world does a place go from cotton fields to building actual jet planes? It's a massive, massive change. And trust me, it did not happen by accident. We're going to unpack exactly how they pulled it off. All right, to really understand where South Carolina is today, we have to hop in a time machine and go way back to the 1930s. Because before all the big, shiny factories, the state's economy was, well, it was in a really tough spot. It was basically stuck. For most people back then, this was their reality. The state was caught in something you could call the textile trap. Cotton farming had been hit hard by this nasty little pest called the boll weevil, so for a lot of families, the only other option was to go work in a textile mill for really low pay. It was a cycle that was just incredibly hard to escape. Now this chart, wow, it really paints a picture of the struggle. Back in 1940, if the average American earned $1, the average person in South Carolina was only earning about 60 cents. That's a huge gap, and it meant way fewer opportunities and a much, much tougher life for thousands of families.
And here's a number that just stops you in your tracks: a 22% unemployment rate. That means more than 1 in every 5 people who needed a job just couldn't find one. Can you even imagine that? It was a true crisis, and something big had to change.
So where did that change come from? Well, it came from a place nobody would have expected: World War II. Now, the war was a global tragedy, of course, but for South Carolina's economy, it turned out to be the spark, the catalyst, that lit the fuse for a whole new future. Here's what happened. The U.S. government started pouring a ton of money into the state to help with the war effort. And we're not talking a small boost here. This was a massive, game-changing investment that basically jump-started the modern economy and built the foundation for everything that came next.
And you can see how it all unfolded right here. You've got military bases getting bigger, which created thousands of jobs for civilians. Then you had these huge projects, like the Santee Cooper power system, that literally brought modern electricity to huge parts of the state. And after the war, the GI Bill was a game changer, helping veterans get an education and start new lives, moving from the farm into growing towns and suburbs.
Okay, so the war is over, and South Carolina is standing at a crossroads. The state's leaders looked around and realized, whoa, we can't go back to the way things were. They saw that the old system was broken, but the war showed them a new industrial path was actually possible. It was time for a completely new game plan.
And this quote right here, it just nails the new way of thinking. Everybody understood that the old economy of just farming and low-wage mills was a dead end. The future had to be different, and they knew they had to be smart and strategic to build it.
And this wasn't just some vague idea. They came up with a clear, brilliant 3-step plan. Step 1. Set up an agency whose whole job was to go out and convince big companies to move to South Carolina. Step 2. Build an amazing technical college system to train people for these new skilled jobs. And Step 3. Make a conscious choice to move away from textiles and aim for higher tech stuff. It was an absolutely intentional strategy.
And now we get to the really exciting part. All those decades of smart planning and hard work, they started to pay off in a huge way. This is when South Carolina didn't just change, it exploded onto the world stage. Welcome to the modern boom.
You can point to 2 huge moments that changed everything. First, in 1994, the German car maker BMW decides to build a massive plant in Greer. That sent a message to the entire planet. South Carolina is a serious place to do business. Then, in 2009, Boeing, one of the biggest plane manufacturers in the world, picks North Charleston to build its futuristic 787 Dreamliner. That sealed the deal.
And just look at the economy today. It's so diverse. You've got this huge automotive sector. I mean, look at those names. You have a cutting-edge aerospace industry, and on top of that, a massive tourism industry and one of the busiest shipping ports in the whole country. It's a powerful, modern, and really stable economy.
So, when you boil it all down, this is what it really means. Back in 1940, if you were a young person starting out, your choices were pretty slim: a farm, a mill. But today, it's a whole different world. You're way more likely to work in a high-tech, super clean facility, building something incredible like an airplane or an electric SUV. The opportunities are just light years apart.
And this number,
This number just says it all. Over 38 times billion dollars in exports. That means things made right here in South Carolina are being shipped and sold all over the globe. It is the ultimate proof of this incredible transformation.
So we've seen this amazing journey from cotton fields to jet engines. It kind of leaves us with one last really exciting question to think about. What comes next? What's going to be the next big thing, the next big industry, that your generation helps to create? Thanks for joining me on this journey.